Welcome back, Ratt N Rollers, to Rattrospective Part 3, where I do the history of the band Ratt. Shoutouts to Ratmaster86, and of course, all you Ratt N Rollers out there. Let's jump into 1985's Invasion of Your Privacy. This is an album that comes while Ratt is at their peak. The Ratt sound is sleazier and heavier, and there's just a party vibe the whole way through the album. And I'm really excited to jump in, so let's get ready to Ratt and roll. After the solo tour, the band gets to Maui to recharge. Warren suggests that that's where they should write the new material as well as relax with friends. Robin had said of this time that everyone had a girl or wife besides him, and they all stayed in these bungalows next to one another, except Robin. His was further away. Also, just a side note, you remember when you would go to the fair as a kid with your parents or whatever, and maybe you're older and you went, and you would play those balloon games where you'd pop them, and you had to pop 2 balloons or 3 balloons. These were some of the prizes they used to give out. Remember these mirror pictures? It'd be in a cardboard. I hated these as a kid. I wanted them of He-Man or something, but this is what they had. Looking back, it's actually a pretty good prize from the fair. So anyways, everyone was just too busy with their relationship. So he wanted the trip to be more about partying and bonding while working on the Invasion album. And getting together and writing was being pushed heavily by the management while on this vacation. Robin also states it wasn't easy to write, and the band was hard to get together all at once. So everyone gets back from Maui, and they're going to go into the studio to start the next album at the Village Recorders in California. While they're in there, the recording gets postponed to do a tour in Japan. They suddenly just have to leave, and they get taken right out of the studio and sent to Japan for this tour. In between, recording, obviously, now they have more money. Steven's kind of doing his thing. Robin's hanging out more with Nikki Sixx at this point. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Also, Beau Hill is back to produce on this album, surprisingly. Beau said that this was going to screw everything up with other plans he has going other than just the Ratt album, but he works it out. So he goes back to his home in New York City, and he works on certain parts that they had recorded and different things that they were working on. Robin and Steven flew back from Tokyo to work on parts for Beau. Steven had to do the vocals, and Robin just had a hotel room across the street, and he would kind of be doing different guitar stuff with Beau, and he also would come in and greenlight different ideas, sounds, etc. So they kind of had a really good working relationship still with this. And this album took longer to record. It took about 3 months, they said. Now, here's where Warren was having issues from before. Warren thought that Beau was spending the budget on the record however he wanted, and accused him of keeping all the money, citing trying to be under budget was his way of keeping all the money. Someone somehow convinced Warren Beau got paid directly from the label, but Beau explained it. Atlantic Recordings are the only ones who are in charge of the money and using the studio and for recording, and they get billed by the studio directly, and they get paid directly. So there is no money that it was exchanging hands from the label to Beau, but for whatever reason Warren thought that, and Warren, I guess, believed him, and it kind of eased up some of that tension. With hindsight, I find it really strange that the band's even working with Beau again. Even Beau himself said by every album the tensions would just build more. In a January 1985 issue of Cream Close-Up, Stephen Pearcy is being interviewed, and David Stevens, the interviewer, says to him, "To be honest, my only criticism of Out of the Cellar was the production. Why did you use Beau Hill?" He was suggested to us by the record company, so we didn't have much choice. We actually wanted to use Tom Judas Priest alum, but that never came about. Will you be using Hill next time? Well, nevertheless, Beau is back on board to produce the next record. At one point, Warren takes a whole day to test out all the crates and heads he had bought on the Cellar tour. Beau tells Warren's guitar tech to set up the stack Warren used for Out of the Cellar. The guitar tech was kind of like against it at first, like, "Hey, what are you trying to do? Play a trick on him?" He said, "No, just trust me, just take it in there and set it up for him and tell him it's one of the new stacks that you guys bought." Warren ended up not even realizing it, but using that stack, saying that that's the one that sounds the best, that's the one we're going to use for recording, for Invasion of Your Privacy.
Wait a minute, Bo. Do you want me to do the low one there, or just?
Yeah, try that. Try it.
Lay it down. Lay it down.
No problem.
Final recordings are complete, and Beau Hill was pushing for Lay It Down to be the first single, but Doug Morris wanted it to be You're in Love. Beau felt Lay It Down was the single to really push record sales with the strength of the song itself. Also, Beau went alone with masters of this album, experimented with putting synth on some of the tracks, i.e. Lay It Down and Closer to My Heart, stating he would sneak it in and hope the guys didn't notice or didn't mind. Personally, I like the use of the synth on the songs. It's subtle and it doesn't linger around. It's just enough to add to the overall vibe of the track. Ratt was ready to go out on the road in support of the upcoming album. They just needed an opening act. Robin suggests some up-and-coming band from New Jersey, Bon Jovi. March 1985, Ratt and Bon Jovi set out on the 164-show World Infestation tour, with legs twice in Japan, where the show opened, 22 shows in all there. They did a show in England for the Monsters of Rock, and the UK at one point to open for Ozzy during his tour overseas. Majority of the dates took place in the United States, sometimes doing multiple nights in the same arenas, always the sold-out crowds, with a bigger stage show and a strong fan following that the touring was a huge success from. Ratt were smart enough to get a percentage of the merch and door sales to really solidify further. They made their best money while on the road. On a side note about the behind-the-scenes politics of the tour, this was according to Robin. There was apparently some heat from Steven towards John Bon Jovi. He thought he was copying some of his stage act or something of that nature, maybe moves or dancing, things he said. The Ratt dressing room was already becoming each person on their own island with very tense, quiet vibes towards each other as well. Robin would go on to say he spent more time with Bon Jovi in their dressing rooms, in their hotel rooms, and on their tour bus than he would with his own bandmates in the Ratt dressing room. Ratt really was pretty young still at the time. Warren B. Martini might have been 20 years old when Invasion of Your Privacy came out. And from what I gather, the egos were inflating with each of them being rock stars on MTV. June 13th, the album officially drops, to mixed to positive reviews, and is an instant success. The tour continues on rolling city to city till it ends on April 30th, 1986 in Anchorage, Alaska. So let's talk about the album sales for just a moment. June 13th, 1985, the album released. It peaked at number 7 on the Billboard 200 and was there for 42 weeks on the charts. Sales were US 2.5 million, Japan double platinum, and Canada went platinum. It released 3 singles, You're in Love, Lay It Down, and What You Give Is What You Get, but that was only released in Japan. Ratt was worth a lot of money now, and all 5 of them became millionaires. Drugs became more prevalent too, more for some than others.
Titling the album "Invasion of Your Privacy" isn't like an offensive thing. You know, we don't mean it as that. We just mean it as, now we are very close to you. You know, we came from just Ratt to Ratt, and then we came out of the cellar. So we decided now we're invading your privacy. We're in your homes. We're with your daughters, your mothers, and your sisters, and it's much harder, and it's much more, to me, personally, I think it's much more of a fun record. You know, if the word "fun" can still be said. You know, I mean, we're into having fun, and that's what the record's all about. You know.
All right, it's time to talk 1985's Invasion of Your Privacy. And right off the bat, I want to just say that I love the album, so I don't really have too many bad things to say about it. So let's just jump right into the artwork here. Look real closely, you can see a secret camera watching. Here's that. And then it's just a simple insert. It's like a grayish purple. Nothing on the back. And of course, no lyrics as usual with Ratt. Maniac Recordings label. But you also, if you were lucky enough, got yourself a order form for Ratt the Video. And Ratt the Video says here will be available at select video and music retailers. Video contains music videos, personal interviews, and backstage footage. Special mail order offer. Special mail order bonus only. If you order now, you will receive a special limited edition poster. $19.98 plus $3 postage and handling. Only checks or money orders in U.S. currency accepted. You can use your credit card though, guys. VHS or Betamax, both $19.98. There it is. Still one piece. But I do happen to have a copy. Nice original copy. I got all the nice backstage stuff, all the interviews, everything that you're going to see in this video. I took a lot from this video here, VHS. Remember these? So that's a nice little tidbit to have too. Has nice amount of videos on here from the first 2 albums. Wanted Man, You Think You're Tough, Back for More, Round and Round, Lay It Down, and it has highlights from their triumphant tour of Japan, as well as intimate personal interviews. So this is really cool if you can get this. You have a VHS player still. They do have this on DVD, and it also combines the second Ratt VHS, but it's out of print and it's about $60 now. So with this album, this is not a hard album to come by on vinyl at all. You can get this pretty much anywhere, eBay, Discogs. It's been reprinted. I think I saw it on a white vinyl, but it's not hard to come by and it's not very expensive. So as far as the tracks go on this, You're in Love, that's a great song. I love the opening track. It's just such a great way to jump right into this album. And you can tell that there's a little bit more of, a bite to the guitar work in that one. Just the whole album. I really love that song. Really good guitar soloing in that. And then after that, you have Never Use Love, which again is just another really nasty song. I love it. This whole album is just like oozing with licks and super good solos. There's some dual soloing here and there on this album, which I really love. We'll get to that. But man, the guitar work on this is really something special. Warren DeMartini is really starting to come into his own on this album. He really plays awesome. So, of course, Lay It Down. Now this has got to be one of my favorite Ratt songs. I just love it. It's just such a good song, and the guitar work in it is really complex. There's definitely some really like elite guitar player stuff going on in that one. I love the solo in it too. The video's really pretty good too. Then you have Give It All, another great song. That has some really good riffs in it. Really great solo by Warren. This is a really good song live too. They used to play this a lot, a long time ago, when in the 80s when they were touring for this one, and Dancing Undercover and a few other albums after that. But that's a really, really good song. And then side A ends with Closer to My Heart, and some people would say that it's like a ballad, and it kind of is, but it still has that kind of that weird 80s vibe to it. This whole album really is very 80s. It has that feel to it. It has the look, and that song has a like synth and a lot of layers in the background, and you just hear like a lot of different vocals out of Juan and Steven. There's just a lot going on in that song, and I just think it's a really cool song, and arguably that could have been a single off of this too. It's just really good. I really like that one a lot. Okay, so then we start with side 2, and Between the Eyes is the opener for that. That's really good too. There's some really cool guitar work in there. There's a little bit of almost like a mariachi style guitar picking part at one point in it that I really, really like at the end. I really love the vocals on the song too. There's so much good vocalization happening here. He really hits some good notes in this. Next, man, What You Give Is What You Get. Another just a shredder. This is such a cool song. I love this song. It's so heavy. It's so just, the drumming is so good. It shreds. The song rules. Definitely rules. Next song, Got Me on the Line. Now this is kind of like that one song where it's like, yeah, this is okay, but if I'm listening to it on Spotify or if I had a CD, I would skip it. Not because it's not good, but it just doesn't flow for me the same way as the rest of the songs do. Though it still is a good song. It's just not really like my most favorite song. To me, it's kind of like a song you would hear like playing in the background of, like some like teenage 80s rom-com where the chicks are getting ready for like some date. Let's say Fast Times at Ridgemont High. They're like getting ready to go out, and that's the song playing in the background. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Good song, but it's just probably like the weakest one on the album for me. You Should Know By Now. No, this is a really good song too. I like the sing-along stuff, and it really, it adds to that whole, this is a party album, this is a party vibe, they're having fun. And this is the song that has some really cool dual soloing going on that I just love. So just a great song overall. Really great song. And then it finally ends with dangerous but worth the risk. Now, I think, again, this is a really good song too. Some people think, I guess lyrically, they kind of think, oh, they're talking about underage girls. I don't think so. The lyrics, they're clearly talking about themselves. They are talking about a woman at one point in the song, but they're talking about themselves being dangerous but worth the risk. Just listen to the words. But I think the song is really good. It's a really cool, fun song. They've played it live when I've seen them, and it's not a song where I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they play it live, but they did, and it was good, and I'm glad that they did it. So, as far as the lyrics go for this album, some people have kind of accused bands of this era, like this Ratt album, Motley Crue, Wasp, different bands from the genre, of being sexist, or maybe the lyrics are misogynist. Honestly, I don't hear it on this album.
They say you're a womanizer.
Ooh, probably, yeah. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. What can I say?
Okay, I was just kidding. I do kind of hear it a little bit, and I get it. Someone would say, oh, they're just objectifying women on these lyrics. And maybe to a slight degree, you could say that. But in a lot of ways, the lyrics, you could maybe even say, yeah, but that could be coming from a woman's point of view. She could be listening to this music and thinking the same thing. So it's up to the listener to decide, because again, this band does at times tend to cater towards the female listener, and they do talk a lot about love on this album. You hear the word love a lot, and you have 2 songs in a row, You're in Love, Never Use Love. That's like twice just there, and you've got songs about getting laid and different things like that. So, that being said, though, it doesn't bother me too much. They're not explicit. It's not like listening to Wasp Animal or something a little bit more disgusting. So, it's really not too bad. Though, what I will say is this. I don't love the production on this album, and the reason why I say that is because it seems like they just kind of said, okay, it's all done, now let's just throw whatever songs on there, and who cares what order they fall into. And that's where I have an issue, because the last 3 songs on side B, it seems like they just kind of go 1, 2, 3, and they kind of all have like the same feel to them, and they almost blend into one another, because there literally is like no break in track. Like one ends and then the next one starts. They all have like that abrupt kind of end and then beginning. Now, if it was me and I was producing this album, I would have put these in a different order on side B. You could have opened the album side B with Got Me on the Line, and then you could have followed that up with Between the Eyes. Then you could have had What You Give Is What You Get, You Should Know By Now, Dangerous But Worth the Risk. I just think that you could have just mixed it up a little bit, and I don't know, that's about it though. I mean, I really don't see too many problems with this album. I think it's just Ratt putting out another really good shredder. There's way more metal going on here. You can definitely hear that like 80s metal is coming. Like Ratt isn't considered the most metal band of all time or anything like that, but they certainly have some really talented guitar players, and they definitely have some influences like Judas Priest and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath that play a very heavy style of metal. So I think this is a pretty good metal album. I think that it's got blues influence. You're starting to hear more of Warren's blues influence come out, and now you're also starting to hear more of where Robin wanted to start getting a little heavier with their sound. Robin wanted to get a little thrashier, a little bit faster. So you're starting to hear that on this one, which I really like. But other than that, I'd say, again, this is a 9 out of 10. That's based on Ratt Records, and that's just based on just kind of overall, hey, this is music. Does this album suck? Absolutely not. You might not like glam metal, you might not like glam rock or anything like that, but the music itself is awesome and it shreds, and I really hope you pick it up, and you should definitely listen to it like I do. It's going to be it for this one, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you should hit like and subscribe if you feel like it, and pretty soon we're going to be dancing on the cover. Ratt N Roll.